Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 139 of This Is My Bourbon podcast. I am your host, Barry, and with me this week, because Swan is taking the week off, it's Curtis. Curtis, welcome back to the show, buddy. It's been like it's been a while.
It's been a minute.
Oh, yeah.
Feels good to be back.
Yeah, give everybody an update. How have you been? Give us a week by week, day by day playback.
Okay, yeah. So I woke up about 5. No, nothing really. Just been hanging out and staying safe and
heck yeah, man.
Just going to work and doing normal daily things.
Are you actually going? You're still working for Keeneland, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Still am.
So you're still working from home then?
Yeah, so I am working remotely now.
Yeah.
Permanently. So, yeah. So I'll be working from home. Thanks. Been working from home, and we'll continue to do that. Well, this was fun. I went to the Party Source in Covington.
Nice.
Which is apparently the largest liquor store in the world.
In the world?
Or at least in the U.S. In the U.S.
I did not realize that was the case. I always thought that it was just a real big one.
No, apparently it's the largest in the U.S. So they claim. I don't know if that's really self-proclaimed or just actual facts. But
here's the say. Nobody fact check us on that one because we can't even fact check ourselves.
Well, that's what they can't even fact check themselves apparently. So
that's true. That is true.
Anyway, it's really cool. It's pretty nice. I don't know. Sounds like you've been.
I have been. I've been once.
Yeah.
And it's been about a year and a half since I've been there. Maybe a little bit more. I honestly can't remember for sure. But on my way back, here's the only reason I remember that I've even gone, is because I was doing a couple of days on a commercial shoot up in northern Kentucky. It was actually in Covington. And on my way back, I was like, I'll do a little bit of bourbon hunting. I stopped at the Party Source, and like that was it. And this is when we were still living in Richmond. I might have talked about this on the podcast before. I can't remember. But anyway, so I got about maybe half a mile away from our exit to get to our house in Richmond. And my water pump in my car broke. And something else went out. I can't remember exactly what it was. It might have been the timing belt. I don't know. But so I broke down on I-75 and I've had to pull my car to the interior shoulder. And I was there for a solid hour and a half.
Yeah. Did you just crack open the Elijah Craig you had or something?
No, I didn't.
Screw it.
I don't think I even picked anything up when I went. I think I just was like, I just, looked around and
just
was
looked
like,
around.
Man, I was like, there's just nothing here that I want to pick up. So
it's a nice store, but you're not going to be.
Much.
It has so much, and it's just you're not going to. It's not one of those places like you're going to find some really great stuff, probably.
No,
just because,
not necessarily.
Yeah, they might have some releases and stuff, sure, but you're not.
Or like some picks or something.
Yeah.
But even then, I think I was just like, I'm good.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
but still
what were we
fun.
Talking about?
Little fun
Party
note.
Source. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Party Source.
Well, hey, for those of you who are patrons of the show, this week you're actually going to be getting a video edition of this week's episode. That is due to the fact, of course, that Swan is not here. Curtis and I are recording remotely, as Curtis is all the way in Cincinnati, of course. And due to that as well, we really don't have a flying blind for this week. I haven't been able to send Curtis any samples yet, but I apologize that I haven't been able to send much to you. We need to do that just so we can have you more regularly. But I will say that next week, I have not even told you this yet, Curtis. This is the first time I'm mentioning this on the show because it just kind of got set up over the past few days. Next week, we are going to have a very special guest on the podcast.
That's cool.
And I am really, really excited about it. He is the host of one of my favorite shows on the Travel Channel.
No way.
Booze Traveler.
Really?
Yeah, Jack Maxwell is going to be on the show.
That's awesome, man. That's super exciting.
Yeah, so I reached out to him back in March, and I just we never really followed up because it was as soon as coronavirus hit, and things just got crazy for a little while, and I was like, well, he'll get back to me eventually. And then I think it was Wednesday night, I was finishing up some editing. I was like, I haven't heard anything back from Jack. Let me send him a follow-up email. And I did, and he sent me one back the day after and said, yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. So I got some samples sent out to him, couple of other goodies from Kentucky. And this week, so the Wednesday of recording, I'm going to be doing an interview with him, talking about not just his experience with Booze Traveler, but just, who he is as a person. He's been dealing with some medical issues over the past few years as well. Just a really, really fascinating person, and one of my favorite shows that I've watched, especially in this capacity. So I cannot wait to have Jack on next week. He's kind of been one of those, like, ever since we started the show, one of those people that I really just was like, oh, this would be kind of a dream guest to have on. And so, yeah, we're going to be recording it via Zoom, much like we are for this week's episode. So you guys on Patreon, at the very least, are going to be getting that video content. And there might be the chance that I'll push that to the public as well. It just kind of depends on what I think. We'll see, though. It's all very kind of nebulous at the moment. I'm still also kind of reeling from the fact that I got to see my baby's face for the first time today. So I'm wearing my girl dad hat too. So, which was a birthday present from Lucy. And so, yeah, man, there's a lot of cool things happening. We also have some more pretty special guests that are coming up in the near future that I'm not gonna spoil just yet, because I don't want to jinx it as everything's kind of shifting and getting put into place in the right way. But I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. But before we get to that, we have a whole episode. We haven't even hardly started this episode, but as we normally do, I want to ask you, Curtis, what have you been drinking recently?
What have I been drinking?
What have you been drinking?
Well, let me think about it this weekend.
Into the middle distance.
Yeah. Let me think about it. I had quite a bit of bourbon this weekend. Henry McKenna 10-year. That was, the single barrel. That's a standard for us. Mm-hmm. I also was having Four Roses small batch select. So I've been having some of that. And as of right now, I am drinking actually the Rebel Yell 10-year.
Nice. I saw some. We went to the Lux Row Distillery this weekend for my birthday, and they had some there. I was really surprised to see it. I don't normally see it in person very often, but there it was.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I'm getting to is it was leftover. It was a leftover sample bottle that I had actually from Swan for my birthday.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
So all the way from February, we're having the last of it.
Well, I've had a lot of stuff over the past few days. Friday was my birthday. And my buddy Travis Gintz from Texas, also of course known as Cletus, sent me a decanter for my birthday. It was an 11-year-old Jim Beam bottled in bond from 1979.
Wow,
it's stupid good. It's ridiculous. I had that. I bought the new Wild Turkey Master's Keep, the bottled and bond, kind of as my little birthday present to myself. Cracked that open on my birthday. Shoot. What else? I've had a Russell single barrel that I've really been enjoying. I got a couple of new riff picks recently, too, from Kentucky Supply and Demand, one of my local groups. They've been on the show before, of course. Picked up the old Ezra 7. Got a little too excited about pulling that one out of the bottle. I haven't had the old Ezra 7 barrel proof in forever. And they had it at the Lux Row Distillery, and I was like, I'm gonna get a bottle. I'm gonna get a bottle of it. And hold on.
Wait a second.
Hold on. I'm good now. I remember liking it more than I do now, which is odd. I mean, like, it's still good, but there's something about it that it's just not sitting as well with me. But yeah, I don't know. I might have to do like touch on everything that I had for my birthday on this week's live stream. Oh, I know another. Okay, this is really cool. So Dad and I had this on my birthday. It was a mini bottle of Knob Creek, the small batch age stated 9 year. This was actually from the first year of Knob Creek being bottled, which was 93. So birth year bottle and first year for Knob Creek being bottled.
How was that one?
It was really good. I was super happy with it.
Yeah.
It didn't have a whole lot of dusty funk to it or anything. It just kind of seemed to be pretty clean.
Mm-hmm.
So I liked it a lot. I had a lot of good stuff over the birthday weekend. We went to, like I was saying, a few distilleries as well. We went to Lux Row, 1792, Heaven Hill, and Preservation, all four of which were fantastic. Heaven Hill, as always, delivers and is great.
Yep.
So, yeah. Anyway,
I still haven't been to Heaven Hill, actually.
I would actually wait a little bit to go to Heaven Hill because they are still in the middle of their renovations that were supposed to be over, or supposed to be finished with this year, rather. But of course, with COVID, they weren't able to get everything done as quickly as they had anticipated. So they're still, I think they're going to try to get it done by next year, or they're hoping to have it done by next year. So I would wait to actually go. It's a beautiful new addition to the distillery. I think that once it's all said and done, everybody needs to go check it out, because it's going to be phenomenal. So with this being the fourth episode out of the past 4, as we've been trying to do recently, we're going to take a little break from the news. We're going to take a little break from being more serious. We did this 4 episodes ago when we did the blind flight from Bill of Beer Lovers, Wisconsin. And we're just going to we're going to take it a little bit more easy, talk about a couple of things, but nothing truly serious.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it would be a good time for us to talk about something that we had been discussing putting out for a long time. I mean, we've been talking about this, I don't know, since before Tanner left the show.
It's been a minute. Yeah.
So what we want to do is we want to talk about some of our favorite widely available bottles. And this is all just totally us kind of shooting the breeze, coming up with some different names and everything. And it's all just products that we enjoy. We, nobody's told us that we have to put these on our list by any means. It's just, things that we find to be of the highest quality, at least for, what we enjoy drinking. And I initially kind of said, what we would split it up into is like favorite daily drinkers and favorite widely available bottles. Because, we talk about daily drinkers often enough to where people can kind of anticipate what we're going to say.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that, there's also something to be said about things that you're maybe not drinking every day, but are still easy to access.
Sure.
So that's kind of where I'm coming at from this. I of course had a hard time narrowing down my daily drinkers, so I went with a couple. But Kurt, I'll let you go first if you want to, man.
Yeah, sure. So a daily drinker of mine, that one's definitely gonna be Rare Breed. It's just it's higher proof. It's just a phenomenal product. It's at a good price point, and you can always find it. You're never going to not see it. You're always going to be able to find that bottle. And it's just a quality product that is high quality. I think one of the highest quality out of bottles that you can find available.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've had some that we've said that are sometimes in our near our top that we've had.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely went with the Rare Breed. Do we want to keep going, or do you want to?
No,
I'll talk about one.
Yeah, I'll talk. We'll bounce back and forth. So
yeah,
like I was saying, my daily drinkers, I kind of have a few that are really in rotation. But if you look at the two that I think I am more inclined to drink than anything, of course, Elijah Craig. It's what I've said forever. Bourbon should taste like. We talked about it ad nauseum on last week's episode with the Toasted Barrel. Just how great that product is, and how just as a solid foundation, Elijah Craig is just, it's incredible. I mean, it's it absolutely widely available. A really nice proof point too.
Also, spoiler alert, this was also on mine. So we can knock two birds with one stone on that one.
Yeah, of course. But it's just hard not to put something that is of such a high caliber like Elijah Craig on this list. We've also talked about it before. I don't necessarily hate the fact that the age statement is gone. I do still have a soft spot, of course, for the 12-year-old age stated bottles, but I still think that the small batch that they have right now really is just, it's so good. I think it's delicious. I think it holds up well in a cocktail. I think that it does just fine as a neat sipper, even with a cube of ice or two. I just think it's a very versatile bourbon. I think that Elijah Craig in general is one that people might sleep on a little bit. I don't normally see Elijah Craig small batch 94 proof hitting too many favorite lists, even though people do speak pretty highly of it, of course.
Yeah.
So you said that you had Elijah Craig also.
Sure. Yeah. This. I mean, for literally the same reasons that you said. Another one that I've been thinking about, and we're going to drop down to the low shelf here, is just J.W. Dan.
J.W. Dan. Yeah. I'm the same way with T.W. Samuels. It's not as widely available, but continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's just a good product, and you're only paying, I think it's $15, and that's $15 for a handle. You're not feeling bad about putting this in a drink, and it's going to make a nice, cocktail that you're making.
Mm-hmm.
And the perk of it as well is you can just have it on the rocks or just have it neat.
Yeah.
You don't have to have anything with it. I think it's just a solid, you're not going to break the bank. I mean,
it's like those folks at Heaven Hill know what they're doing.
They really do. I swear. So I have that one on there.
Yeah. I also had, of course, Turkey 101.
Yeah, that one won't be on mine.
I know it won't be. I can't disagree, of course, with Rare Breed on your list, and it's one that I think kind of sits maybe not on my daily drinker list, but up towards my widely available, little bit higher price range category list for something that I would reach for.
Sure.
But again, kind of back to daily drinkers, one of the things that we always like to talk about is what is the best value in wheaters, because there aren't a whole lot out there, and the ones that are out there usually seem to be pretty divisive in the community. And this one actually, and by the way, I don't think we ever really talked about this. None of these are really ranked. This is just kind of a back and forth discussion, I would say.
Yeah, this is definitely just a, what are what are your favorites? We're not listing here. Yeah. We're just listing off names here.
Exactly. But I actually would put, and this is one that I would like to do a more in-depth analysis of, maybe with a blind flight or something. But I had kind of a tie between Larceny and Rebel Yell 100.
Dude, you're nailing them on the head, man. Literally, that's what I was like. All right, here we go. Larceny in the bag.
Larceny is just, I think it's easily it's the most accessible and probably the best deal in wheaters out there. Mm-hmm. So $25-ish, maybe closer to 22 across the board. 8 years old at minimum, usually in its batch. 92 proof. It's a higher proof and slightly older than Maker's Mark. But I also think that with the addition of Rebel Yell 100 that came out last year, and by the way, insider tip, Lux Row is dropping the Yell from Rebel Yell.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
That was confirmed to me at the distillery over the weekend.
Wow. Okay.
So it is becoming Rebel Bourbon.
Huh.
So
interesting.
Take that as you may. But with that, the introduction of that product last year, I think that really gave Larceny a run for its money, as an everyday wheated sipper.
Yeah.
And it's actually at a cheaper price point. It's only about $20, but you're also getting a younger product. It's 4 years old instead of the 6 or 8 years. I think they say that Larceny is about 8 years old. I still think that Larceny is one of the best values, period, on the market, but especially for a wheater, it's hard to knock it, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm assuming Larceny was next up for you too to talk about.
I wouldn't say it was next on the list, but it was on there. I also, let's hop back down. I'm gonna roll out the just bottom shelf value.
Oh, heck yeah.
Value bourbons. JTS Brown.
Oh yeah, the bottle and bond, right?
Yes, exactly.
It's so hard not to talk about these bottom shelf bottle and bond products from Heaven Hill.
Mm-hmm.
It's so hard to ignore them.
Yeah, I mean it is, because they're just they know what they're doing, man. And it's hard to find those value bourbons that from other distilleries that really just hit the nail on the head with those.
Yeah. And there is this conversation I think that people are still kind of having. I'm not crazy about the idea of it, because I still think that it holds merit.
Yeah.
But about bottled and bond not being worth anything anymore, and for it just kind of being a meaningless name that doesn't carry as much weight as it used to in the whiskey world and the bourbon world. I just don't buy into that. I think that it's still got legs. I think that it still holds up as being one of the true testaments to quality in bourbon production and whiskey production. Yeah. And I think that if we look at the celebration of heritage behind bourbon, I think that Bottled and Bond is it. I mean, I think that's really, where it sits.
Yeah. I mean, and when you think of Bottled and Bond products, you constantly are getting good quality stuff that tastes like you're paying more for it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not to be said on some other just standard offerings.
And to be fair, I'm not saying that, Bottled and Bond is 100% of the way my favorite,
mm-hmm.
or even that they always are knocking it out of the park. I mean, we talk all the time about how much we didn't like the Dickel Bottled and Bond.
Yeah.
From last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, just because it says Bottled and Bond doesn't mean that it's going to be superior quality, but it does at least guarantee craftsmanship.
Yeah.
Or attention to detail.
Speaking of another Bottled and Bond, since that, we're kind of there, is Early Times. The Early Times Bottled and Bond.
Oh man. That's one of those where, and this is directly related to the recent news that's been acquired by Sazerac.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know what's going to happen with that product.
I
mean, it's so good as it is, and I want it to maintain that consistent quality, but I just don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to keep it up or if it's just going to tank once it actually gets to Sazerac. Uh-huh. Sorry, words are hard after a couple glasses of bourbon, apparently.
What was next on your list?
Oh, next on my list, I hate to jump back to Wild Turkey. Russell's Reserve 10-year. That was one that you and I kind of discovered, not discovered, of course, but we did review it a while back, and we went, this is something that I don't think a lot of people are talking about too much, at least as being a great value. I mean, age stated about $25 to $30. It is 90 proof. I of course would like for it to be higher proof, but I still think that it drinks great at 90.
Yeah. And that, like I said, I mean, those, or like you said, the bottle that we had, I mean, that was a find that we got to have.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, they're so available that why not?
So that was actually when we reviewed that.
Yeah.
That was the last episode that we did, that you and I did in person.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That was also the last episode that was recorded with anybody up in the old studio, which is now the nursery.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. No, which is crazy. That was that was back in March. It was right before shutdown and everything.
Well, I think we had shutdown, but it wasn't there yet.
Yeah, we weren't we weren't self-quarantining.
Yes.
At that point, but like the week after we were.
Yes.
That's pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah. Little trip down memory lane, 5 months later.
Yeah. Jim Beam Bonded.
Oh, Jim Beam Bonded's a great one.
Yes. And that one's, I mean, is that $21 or something?
Oh, not even.
Not even?
Maybe. It might be more like 20.
Okay. I was off by $1. My bad.
Yeah. Well, okay. Fair enough.
But Jim Beam Bonded. Another great one. I keep throwing out these 100 proofers, not like unintentionally.
But I think that's just kind of a good home for us, though. Just being able to enjoy 100 proof bourbons. I mean, like, and even Four Roses single barrel kind of falls under that category. I think that's kind of pushing the top of the daily drinker in terms of affordability limit, because I mean,
the Four Roses.
Yeah, because it is like $35-$40.
Yeah, and looking back on my rare breed, yeah, it's probably more than what you want for a daily drinker. So I'll agree with you on, let's hop that up to more of a, it's available.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like I'm just naming off bourbons, so like stop me if
Oh no, not at all. Yeah. I mean, we can kind of challenge each other too if we need to.
Yeah. I wouldn't say this is just. I wouldn't say this. No, I'm not even gonna. I was gonna say Jim Beam repeal batch.
See, that is one I would challenge you on, because it's not as it was like a limited release. I don't really know the last time I saw it on the shelf.
Yeah,
or if it's even still on the shelf.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I'm not even going to say it, because it's not. It's more of a limited thing, and I would even venture to say I wouldn't be an everyday drinker for me anyway.
Yeah,
just was something that in passing I've had and I thought it was good, but nothing special.
We gave it a pretty good review.
Yeah, no, it was good.
Yeah,
it just wasn't. I don't think it would have be an everyday drinker for me.
Yeah, I've got to agree with that.
Yeah,
I can't really think of too many other daily drinker style bottles that are widely available. Maybe like Evan Williams Bottle and Bond. That'd be another one I'd throw in there.
Okay,
and like Evan Williams single barrel, I think is kind of pushing it maybe just a little bit, but it's definitely in that realm, I think. But yeah, it's funny. Like, we kind of find ourselves sticking within like a couple of distilleries, oddly enough, with this.
So let's try to push it a little farther. Then let's get out of the distilleries we've been talking about, and maybe what's some others that you would say, oh, this just didn't think about it off the top of my head.
Ooh.
Not to put you on the spot.
Yeah, it's definitely, but except that's exactly what you did, Curtis.
Yeah, exactly. There you
go. Oh, Buffalo Trace.
Oh yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm.
Buffalo Trace is a great one for a daily drinker.
Yeah, that's an easy one.
Yeah, and it had a period where it was not as easy to get, but it kind of found its way back recently with availability. Still at $25-$26 a bottle, usually about 8 years old, 90 proof. It is one of those that I think I have started to overlook, or one that I'm not reaching for all the time, but is just kind of a solid standard. I wish that even like Eagle Rare were still widely available. I still think that's a great bourbon.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think that it deserves the hunt that it has kind of incurred. I mean, people just go bananas over it, which I know. Anyway, I do love that bourbon.
Here's one. So that you're probably going to be like, whoa, Kurt, why didn't you put this? So I've kind of fell off the small batch 1792.
I was kind of wondering if that was going to come up with you or not.
Yeah, I fell off it a little bit.
Yeah.
I still think it's good. I think it's a great introductory bourbon, just because it's so sweet and has that banana taste that we've always talked about.
Yeah.
But I think my palate has developed so much that it's kind of off that. It's a little too sweet for me, too banana.
Yeah. And I think that I think that Bullet is kind of in the same realm as well.
Yeah.
I don't think that it's the top tier that I kind of thought it once was. I like some of the other expressions from Bullet more than I do their orange label.
Yeah.
But yeah, in that same vein, there are definitely other products from 1792 that absolutely blow the small batch out of the water.
I think that's the problem with, I think that, not the problem, I think that's just what happened with me was I started having the sweet wheats, the full proofs, all of those, Yeah. And I think it just is like, man, these are just so great compared to the standard 1792.
Yeah. You've had the 12 year, right?
Yeah, I've had the 12 year.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Okay. I wanted to make sure. I was like, if you haven't had the 12 year, I need to definitely send you a sample of that. Yeah. I just got to send you samples in general. Man, I got too much. I got too much stuff that you got to try that has been sitting around here that I feel bad.
Well, I just need to make a.
Oh, dude, absolutely. Make a trip down.
Need to make a trip down. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. What are you doing this weekend? We're actually going to IKEA this weekend. Sure. So.
Oh, well, let me know if you're up here. So we'll get lunch or something.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. Are you getting buying nursery things?
Yes, we're getting baby furniture.
Fun.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, that's cool. IKEA is a great place.
I've actually never been before.
What?
Yeah.
Don't get lost. Actually, get lost. You'll spend all day in there.
I really don't want to get lost with coronavirus going around.
No.
I'm scared that I'll find the seedy underbelly of Ohio in IKEA.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to pour a little bit of this Russell's 10 year.
I wish I had some.
Sorry.
Here, pour me a little bit.
Okay. Here you go.
Yeah, there we go. Thanks.
Zoom jokes.
Knob Creek. What's your thoughts on Knob Creek?
Knob Creek small batch, I think, would definitely fall under the daily drinker. But I really like $30, I think, is my cap for the daily drinkers. Mm-hmm. Once it kind of gets above that, it becomes a little bit more gray area. And the way that I think of daily drinkers, it's definitely more in the realm of like budget or affordable bottles, Mm-hmm. And I don't think that $30 is consistently the most affordable thing in the world. I think that it is widely acceptable in most regards. But I just think that that's kind of
pushing outside the budget there.
That's about where I kind of draw the line.
I get that.
I would say. So
has Knob Creek always put the age statement on there?
No, it's come and gone.
Okay. So because I feel like they started putting it back on.
Yeah, they have. They have. Swan and I actually did an episode a few weeks back where we compared the old age stated, the non-age stated, and then the new age stated.
Okay.
And I can't remember what came out on top. It might have been the non-age stated.
Interesting.
But it's an interesting little comparison to do if you ever get the chance.
Yeah, I just noticed I was like at the party source and I saw that the age state was back on for the first time, and I was like, "Huh, interesting." Yeah,
it was exciting the first time that I saw it with the age statement back on. I think it was at Total Wine,
mm-hmm.
A couple months back. But yeah, it's cool. It's nice. It's good to see that it's back.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we've all talked about it a little bit.
Oh yeah.
We like to have that age statement, but it is interesting that the non-age stated got the higher remarks on that.
Yeah, for sure. That kind of does it for me with like daily drinkers.
Yeah.
You know, I want to move on to favorite widely available bottles. These are kind of what I'm considering non-allocated.
Okay.
I would say, or ones that, you know, they might be a little bit higher shelf, a little bit higher priced, but you know, it's not going to cause you too much stress to go out and find.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually going to use your first example, which is Rare Breed. That's one of my favorite widely available, a little bit higher price products that has an amazing proof to it. You know, usually exists around the like 8 to 12-year-old range. Great blend. I think that it's one of the best values in bourbon that people can pretty readily access.
Yeah.
And you know, you kind of gave your thoughts on it earlier on.
Yeah. I definitely think that you would put that in this widely available, but not the everyday sipper, just because of the price and everything.
Yeah.
So I totally agree with that.
And then I would kind of put, I would put the Knob Creek single barrel in there as well. Again, a little bit higher price, around $40, but the fact that it's age stated and a high proof, I think that it's one of the absolute best values in bourbon. You know, I mean, you're really not finding anything as easily accessible with that proof point on the market today, especially at $40.
Yeah.
I mean, anything over 110, 115 usually is going to get up into the $50, $60 range at the least.
Yeah.
I feel like. So with products like Rare Breed and Knob Creek, those are one of those where they were kind of game changers once I understood how good they were for what the market dictates. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm definitely going to throw Knob Creek single barrel in there.
I would totally agree with that. I was going to throw in Booker's. That is.
Yes.
You going to argue me on this one?
No.
I guess.
But yes. But the only part of the yes comes from the fact that it's just gone up in price recently.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it went from what the MSRP was $74.99 to $89.99.
Yeah, that's getting like a little too high.
So I just think it's a little much. I don't think the value is as there as it used to be. Again, this is
not with the price.
This is going back to a conversation or an episode that Swan and I did a couple weeks ago, where we were talking about just, you know, how hard it is to value bourbon.
Yeah, it's wild too, even with the MSRP, that I've seen it for sitting at like 69, like lower. I've seen it sitting there.
Yeah, that's usually in like Kroger. The Kroger Wine and Spirits or something, which usually has the best price anyway. I mean, it's hard to find. You know, like I would challenge even Total Wine in that regard. I feel like Kroger Wine and Spirits usually has the best price on bourbon. They've even had, you know, sales for Turkey 101 recently that have been like $17-$18. I mean, that's a steal of a deal.
Oh, it for sure
product.
is.
And I know it's not your favorite, of course, but you know, if we're purely talking about availability, price, and proof, I mean, Turkey 101 at $18 a bottle, it's hard to pass that up. I think, at least from a curiosity standpoint,
Yeah.
if you've never had it before, and want to kind of go out into the world and experiment a little bit.
I think any of those other also that made my list were any of the newer kind of craft distilleries, New Riff, Wilderness Trail. We talk about them a lot. The horse has been, we beat that horse to death. Yeah. But there's just quality and exciting new things to come,
I agree. I think that even to some degree, we have to kind of acknowledge Elijah Craig barrel proof. I don't think that it's it's tough because you don't see it as often, but I mean, it is widely distributed.
Okay.
I guess, but it's not widely available. I think that's where I would challenge myself on it. Because I mean, you can't just walk into the store like you used to be able to and see it on the shelf, pick it up, and go on your merry way. But it is showing up more and more, I feel like, in more markets.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I feel like it's more in the same vein as like a Henry McKenna 10-year, the single barrel.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, you just can't. This should be widely available and be able to be found, but you just can't. Just because they've just been so good.
Yeah.
I feel like both of those are asterisks a little bit.
I think that's fair. What about Russell Single Barrel?
Yeah.
I think even just the off the shelf product. I mean, it's one that, it kind of in the same way that Knob Creek Single Barrel is, regardless of whether it's a pick. It's easy to get to. It's something you can walk into just about any store and pick up, much in the same way that Rare Breed is.
Mm-hmm. So here's one. You have Russell Single Barrel. Compare it with Kentucky Spirit. Let's say we have to choose out of these two. What would you say?
I think I would go Russell's.
Okay.
I don't, and it's not to say by any means that Kentucky Spirit is bad. I think Kentucky Spirit is one of the most underrated bourbons out there, especially at Wild Turkey products.
It's definitely one of those that people overlook because it's between that Russell. I feel like it's between that Russell's, that Rare Breed. And they said, well, if I'm not even between Russell's, just if they're deciding between Kentucky Spirit or Rare Breed, I feel like a lot of people go, I'm just going to get the Rare Breed.
Yeah. I think 9 times out of 10, I would probably go Rare Breed over Russell's. But I still think that Russell Single Barrel is an absolutely solid product.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I honestly don't think that I've had a bad Russell Single Barrel. I mean, pick or no pick.
Yeah. I can't say I've had too many of them. So
sure.
I think that's where I kind of, I'm not sure.
We're just going to have to change that, aren't we?
Yep. Maybe at the last call tonight.
Yeah, sure. Maybe,
but probably not because we're
no. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. All
right.
Last call on patreon.com/.
Yeah.
Anyway. Honestly, I mean, like there aren't a whole lot more that would fall under this category for me. Maybe Four Roses Small Batch Select, but even then, that's not a wide market. It's not hit, all 50 states. It's not all around the world just yet. I think once it does become permanently widely accessible, then I would be more confident and just happier with putting it on that list. But I think it would be on there in some capacity.
Yeah, that's where mine was at. I didn't have too many on that list.
Yeah. One of the things that, like, I think we are starting to see a little bit more frustration with is the Buffalo Trace side of things. You know, like Antique 107 was available for so long at such a great price. And now it's not available and it's at double the price. If you can find it.
I have never lived in that world. It's never been available for me. It's just I've
That's
lived
fair.
in that world.
That's fair. And I'm not necessarily saying that I was able to access it myself at any point. It's just kind of I know that was a thing that was a reality for a long time.
Yeah.
And, you know, I have seen it in stores in recent times, but not for a price that I would want to pay and not in the capacity that we would like. So.
And the amount of effort to find it.
Oh my gosh, it's ridiculous. Every time that I've seen it recently, I've stumbled across it. I mean, that's been the only time that I've been able to find it.
Yeah.
So anyway, any closing thoughts on our widely available / daily drinker / things we like?
Yeah, I mean, I think we covered the majority of it.
I think so too.
I think we hit quite a few. Here's one that's super under the radar, but you can find it, and it's I guess it's not under the radar. It's just people don't pick it up, I would say, enough. Is Maker's 46.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, for sure. And I think that, you know, with the Maker's cast strength and the 46 cast strength that's about to come out too, you know, I think that's a great addition to the lineup. That even sparked something in my brain for some reason too. And just anything from Old Forester.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
There aren't a whole lot of products that I consider to be my favorite from them by any means. Old Forester is just not really my cup of tea. I do like the Signature. I think the rye is a phenomenal product. But, you know, once you look at the Whiskey Row series, there is the 1920, which is still very good. It lost in a blind flight for me recently against Small Batch Select, Russell Single Barrel, and Knob Creek Single Barrel. That was for the Mash and Drums 2-year anniversary live stream. But anyway, I still think it's a pretty solid product. What, like $55 a bottle, 115 proof. You know, I think that it's, I don't know the exact distribution on it, I guess, but I do know that it's, you know, pretty widely available. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think that's it. I can't really.
I think we covered our bases here.
I think we
got threw some good ones out there and discussed, well, maybe that's not on there, but you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're good.
Absolutely. Well, Kurt, that means that we have to move into a very rarely used segment on the show, which we really don't have a name for, but it's just kind of I've been calling it mailbag, I guess. Or just something like that.
I'm cool with mailbag.
Yeah, sure, mailbag's fine. Every now and then we get a little bit of correspondence from listeners of the show, and usually that comes in the form of an email to thisismybourbonshop@gmail.com. If you also want to correspond with the show, you can send us questions, comments, anything via social media, usually at My Bourbon Pod. And you can find all of those links down below in the description of this episode. This was an email sent to thisismybourbonshop@gmail.com. And this is from Matthew Welch. So first off, hi, Matthew. Thank you so much for sending us. Excuse me. He provided a pronunciation at the end of his email.
Oh,
I
nice.
totally screwed it up.
That's great. He's like, gosh, I sent it to you.
Yeah, he did. It's pronounced Welgie. So,
all right.
Sorry about that, Matt.
Well, gee, Barry.
Well, gee. He said, hey, guys. Hey, Matt. I live in Naperville, Illinois, Chicago suburb, and I consider myself still new to bourbon and whiskey. Kudos on the last episode with the Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel. Thank you, Matt. Mixed reviews across my casts, but I'll probably try it if I can find it. I really enjoy your show, and I look forward to the tastings, the news, and even the tips and bits. That's good because I've got some good tips and bits coming up here soon. I just purchased a store pick, Benny's, of Ezra Brooks Distillers Collection, and I have to say it's really good for only about $33. Lots of cherries, chocolate, vanilla, and tobacco in a really well-balanced way. I was wondering if you've tried it, and I'm curious about your opinions on charcoal mellowing. I'm not a purist when it comes to anything. I'll try it all. However, lately, I've been focusing on good value for the price. A 107 proof with that flavor profile at that price is a winner for me. Keep up the great work and stay safe. Matt Welgie. Matt, first off, thank you so much for your email. We really do appreciate that. It's always good to hear from listeners of the show. Once again, you can send your questions or comments or just general correspondence to thisismybourbonshop@gmail.com. And to your question, I have not yet had an Ezra Brooks single barrel distillers collection bottle. I've seen it a couple of times. I haven't really been inclined to pick it up. At $33, though, I feel like that's a pretty good deal, especially at that proof point. I from what I've seen, it's been 107 plus. So I'd be on board with trying that. What about you, Kurt?
I mean, I definitely would be on board to try it. Ezra Brooks is a bottle that I don't often see or pick up or anything like that. I've never had many opportunities to try it, so that's been my problem.
Well, I'm gonna pour some of this old Ezra 7.
There you go.
Here, just to see how I think feel how I'm gonna react to it.
I'm gonna speak words to this.
How I'm gonna say something.
Yeah.
His question about charcoal mellowing, though. I don't know. I think it's fine if it helps the product, but I don't think that it's necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think it kind of takes away from bourbon as a whole. I think that charcoal mellowing is fine. I just don't see it as being necessary.
Yeah, same here. And just to give a background on what charcoal mellowing is, would you give a kind of a little bit of an explanation on that?
Yeah, so usually that's kind of something that's associated with the Lincoln County process, which is what Jack Daniels goes through. I think really all Tennessee whiskeys legally have to go through as well. So the product comes out of the barrel and then it's filtered through charcoal to remove some of the, what they would call, I guess, harsher notes.
Impurities or something.
Yeah, something like that. And what people usually don't understand is that bourbon goes through filtering of any capacity before it actually hits your bottle or hits your glass. And that's usually just to remove chunks of oak or wood or residue or whatever. So it looks better.
Yeah.
And I guess really tastes better. But in general, I mean, I think charcoal mellowing is fine. I don't really have an opinion on it one way or another. It's just, I think I would rather stick with a non-Lincoln County process for my bourbon.
I think Yeah, I think you just get some more of those oils and more of those kind of straight from the barrel kind of aspect to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, again, thank you, Matt Welge, for sending us an email. And yeah, that does it for this week's mailbag, I guess. Still don't think we have an actual title for that, that segment.
Yeah.
But it's all good. But, you know, we do have a segment title for is the segment that comes next, which is Tips and Bits.
Yeah, that's
where
true.
We recommend some things for you people to go and check out. I am very excited about my tips and or bits this week, but I'm gonna let you go first, Kurt.
All right.
Okay.
My tips and or bits is gonna be a book called The Big Nine.
I don't know
by
that book.
Amy Webb, but it really goes into the detail of like how these big companies like Google and Apple, all of them are just like using data and using artificial intelligence. So I'm not finished with the book yet, but it's been pretty good. So I definitely am going to recommend that one. It's kind of relevant in the time of, you know, ever changing artificial intelligence and how companies are using data and growing bigger, that kind of thing. So
has it made you more scared about how companies are listening in to your daily life?
I wouldn't say listening in. I think it's just the scale of what they are becoming.
Sure.
That makes sense. I think that's kind of where it's like, oh wow, there is a lot that they have there.
Yeah.
And what that kind of technology can do.
Yeah. Yeah. This is one of those weird things where like I don't want to get too tinfoil hatty on it, but it's hard to ignore when you've never been served an ad before and then you talk about a product and then all of a sudden it shows up on your Facebook feed.
Yeah.
Like
and it's really I've heard that so many times and it's like, what's happening here?
It's really unsettling.
I totally agree. I think in the future there will definitely be I know that this will happen, is that there will be, you know, certain regulations and things that they'll have to go through.
I agree.
To do some of this stuff. It's just kind of the wild, wild west right now.
Oh, and, it absolutely is.
Yeah. And it's intimidating, but it's encouraging too, just because, I mean, that technology will help incredibly a lot with 5G and artificial intelligence. And, you know, not a lot of people think just technology, but you're also talking health. Like, you know, a doctor will be able to perform surgery on somebody 100, 200 miles away. Yeah. Like they don't have to be there. So it'll save a bunch of lives. It'll do all that stuff. However, you're also sacrificing some of those, you know, those, I guess, privacy kind of stuff.
It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah. It's a big topic, but The Big Nine by Amy Webb, it's a good book. So,
okay. Yeah. I'll have to check it out.
What's yours?
I want to talk about this guy so much because I have been so oblivious to his existence over the past few years, but as soon as I started paying attention to him, I've been obsessed. And it's a musician from England. His name's Jacob Collier. He's basically a modern day Mozart in terms of being a musical prodigy and just having this knack for musical creation that has really not been seen in a long time. And he does these arrangements. Look him up on YouTube. He has several different covers where he just shows his musical prowess, his arrangement capability. That just it makes my brain hurt a little bit. Like, he's younger than I am, and he's a far better musician than I will ever be. But he also is a self-proclaimed autodidact, which means that he has not learned from a particular master or from somebody who has shown him how to do certain things. So it would basically be like if you were a carpenter, but you watched somebody do it, or you just kind of learned it on your own. It's kind of hard to explain this more nebulous concept of learning. But he is, I would say, self-taught. I think self-taught is really the best way to describe it. But his ability to arrange music and arrange layers and make it sounds so perfect. It sounds so genuine and good, I guess. Like, I don't even have the right words to describe it, because he's so unique in what he does, and it's so just freaking good, man. I'll try to put a link in the description of the episode so that people can go listen to a little bit of what he does. He set out to put out a 4-volume album, essentially, a couple of years ago. And volume 3, I think, is coming out this week. If I'm remembering correctly, there's been a few singles that have come off of it. It just, I could go on and on about how much I like this guy and how good I think his music is, but it's good. He's just a phenomenal musician. And if you've heard him before, please let me know. I want to talk about him more, and I want to try to hone. No, I want to. What am I trying to say? Hone. Thank you. Is that the word?
I think it is.
I want to try to hone in on what it is that I love so much about him and what he produces.
Yeah, that's definitely the word.
That is 100% the.
But that's exciting. I'll definitely look up John Collier.
Yeah, Jacob Collier.
Yeah.
That's it for my tips and bits, and I guess yours as well, Kurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that also does it for another episode of This Is My Bourbon podcast. That is definitely a looser episode, and it gives me all of the nostalgia of older episodes as well, where we were just kind of like, what are we doing? We're having fun. It's a conversation. Yeah.
We're talking bourbon. Yeah.
We're talking bourbon.
Yeah.
Hey, man, what kind of bourbon do you like? I like bourbon. Let's talk about the bourbon together.
That's exactly what it was. With lower quality audio.
Oh, my gosh. Absolutely. With a rock band microphone.
Yep.
Yeah, that was something.
Beautiful.
Anyway, thank you all so much for listening to episode 139 of the show. Curtis, where can people find you on social media?
On Twitter, you can find me at Kurt_Con15, and on Instagram, KurtCon.
And you can find me personally at PRitter1492 on all social media channels. You can find the show itself at My Bourbon Pod on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can leave us a 5-star rating and review on the iTunes podcast app. We've seen some ratings pop up here over the past week, but no reviews. So if you leave a review of the show on any podcast app, really, I can see them. I'll read it out on the show. And you know what? positive or negative. We'll read out the negative ones too, because that would be fun, right? Maybe.
Yeah,
it would be something.
Yeah, unless it's like genuinely like brutal and goes to the core of our being.
It hurts a little bit.
Yeah, but we'll still read it, I guess.
Yeah, we'll still read it. You can leave us questions, comments, correspondence, anything at thisismybourbonshop@gmail.com. You can also find all of our apparel and merchandise at the bourbonshop.threadless.com. I am actually wearing my brand new This Is My Bourbon podcast shirt as we are recording. I have a mask on the way with the podcast logo on it.
Nice.
And I have a great new phone case with the podcast logo on it as well. It's not just that. You can find all sorts of apparel, merchandise, items, accessories over at bourbonshop.threadless.com. It's a really great way to support the show as well. If you are not able to commit to something monthly like Patreon, we get 100% of the profit from that as well. That goes right into our pockets. It's basically eliminating all of the overhead by using something like like Threadless. And I know that there have been some folks who have been wanting us to put out glassware recently. So we will talk about that more coming up. I definitely want to put out some Glencairns, maybe some rocks glasses, and we'll work on getting those out. But in the meantime, if you want to show your support of the show, it's threadless.com and just search for Bourbon Shop or bourbonshop.threadless.com, something like that. I don't know. You can also become a part of our Facebook group if you just head to facebook.com and search for This Is My Bourbon group. There's a couple questions to get you in there, and it's always fun. That's where we ask folks to leave us questions for our pregame chats over on Patreon, and that is where you can find all of our bonus content at patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast for as little as $1 a month. At $5 a month, you actually get all of that bonus content, like the pregame chats. You also get the last call, which I think Curtis and I are going to record here in a minute if we can keep it together for long enough. I don't know, man.
Struggling.
No, not struggling at all. I'm riding the high horse. Is that what I meant? I don't know.
Maybe.
But you also get bonus episodes. You get access to Hangouts, some exclusive live streams. You get some polls, conversations that are exclusive only to Patreon. Once again, that's patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast. But we also need to thank a patron of the show, as we have been doing over the past few weeks. This week, we're going to send a huge shout out and thank you to Brian Brennicky, who is at the $20 a month tier and has been a patron of the show since August of 2018. Brian, thank you so much. As always, you and your wonderful wife, Tammy, are a huge supporter of the show. And we just want to say thank you for everything that you do for us and all the support that you have given us over the years. And if you would like a shout out, if you would like some of that bonus content, once again, patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast. And I think, Kurt, that does it for this week. Next week, as I said earlier on in the episode, Jack Maxwell of Booze Traveler is going to be joining me. We're going to have a great conversation about all things bourbon and I guess all things booze. Chef's kiss from Kurt. But until the Booze Traveler joins us next week, I'm Perry.
I'm Curtis.
And this is My Bourbon Podcast.